Coming up on today's episode.
We had this one scenario where we were doing listing presentations and the real estate agent was fighting with us. The actual vendor was sitting there. That was one of the ones where they were sitting, both the vendors were sitting there. We had the agent sitting across from us and we're having a conversation and he was full on arguing with us on this point. He was wrong on the point, I will say. Right. He would not concede it and he's arguing over the table. Anyway, continue. We just, settle things down, keep going through. Said, thank you very much, finished it up, walked him to the door and the vendor sort of shut the door, turned around and said, well, he's a cockhead, he's not getting the business. They get really shitty. And then his director rang us.
I'll get it out.
And said, why did we not get the business? We're the best agency in the area. Fish rots from the head down.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jo Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Aussie finance and property market. I'm your host, Jo Agresta. So, this week's episode is for every home buyer who's ever thought, do I actually know what I'm doing, or am I being ripped off? Because let's be real, the property market doesn't come with a manual unless you're Wendy Chamberlain, who basically spent her career writing one. Wendy is a buyer's advocate, educator and business owner, an all-round powerhouse. And she's joining us today to talk about what decades in the industry have taught her, how women are changing the property game, and why she's relaunching her 41-module property course in 2025. She's also the host of the podcast Property Mama, and honestly, she's seen it all from dodgy agents to sex toys at open homes, which I can't wait to unpack. So buckle up, laugh along, and learn from someone who truly tells it like it is. Wendy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jo. Great to be here.
So I'm going to start by our pre-recording, right, for this episode, because when we met, what I loved about your attitude towards buyers advocacy is you have literally seen it all. You've got 30 plus years of experience in the industry, and I've had 15 plus years of industry experience. I can only imagine what 30 years would do because you've seen GFC, you've seen high markets, low markets, recession markets, all of it. And I feel like having someone of your caliber here to unpack this all today with us, like what is the market doing, all your stories, we're going to have a buttload of fun. So,
we are.
I think the best place to start, right, is, at the very beginning, because you had a career in, the corporate space. You were in corporate IT and then you moved into real estate. Like, talk to us about how your journey started out and how you got here.
Yes, I bought my first house in 1996. And I ended up, by the end of my corporate career, I was a senior IT project manager. So that was in, so I was buying and selling real estate, doing lots of investing and so forth for that first 10-year period. And then in 2006, I started to get health challenges because IT back then, don't know about now, but back then it was a boys' club. And I could hold my own, let me tell you.
I have no doubt.
And I started by November of that year, I got to the point where I would throw up every morning at the thought of going to work. And it would stop on weekends because I didn't go to work. And it would start again on the Monday. That went on for 3 weeks before my husband said to me, you need to go see somebody. So I eventually did all kinds of tests and everything. And they came back and she said to me, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need a lifestyle change. Because I was not following my passion. My passion is real estate. I can't explain it. I just love real estate. I'm looking at the architecture all the time. I'm looking at sales. I'm just got a head on a swivel all the time. I'm just loving it. And so I resigned on the 8th of December, 2006. And within 2 weeks, everything cleared up for me that had been going on because it was just me not following my passion. So I started educating women how to buy real estate, and that's what I have been doing ever since in the real estate space, various bits and pieces. And for the last 10 years, I've been a buyer's advocate.
Wow, that speaks volumes. And I feel like when, we've talked about this, like real estate never leaves you. I feel like as soon as you get the property bug, you're stuck. It's like, oh no, like you can try and leave and you can have your tough periods, but you always end up back in property.
There's just something about it and I love it. And to some degree, it is a tough industry.
Yeah,
working in this industry and with some of the people you have to deal with in the industry, As I said, they can be fluid with the truth.
It's very politically correct how you put that, fluid with the truth. But yeah.
Well, yeah, there's some great operators and great people that we deal with within the industry. And then there's others that are not as fantastic to deal with.
It's like, but no, it's true. Like, and I think every industry has its good and bad apples, right?
This is correct.
And, you know, you can't escape that. Like, whether it's the boys' club in the IT corporate world or insurance, like, it doesn't matter. It exists. But in the real estate industry, you're playing with such big money that these kind of lies, or these little white lies that can happen, having massive effects, like not just on people's, like, you know, hip pocket, but like their livelihood, because they're trying to get into the market.
It has an effect on people's livelihoods. And some real estate agents are what I describe as being transactional. So they're in it, they've got commission breath.
Commission breath. You can smell it a mile away. They're in it just to get the deal done, get the money, move it on. And they don't really give two shits about, well, the buyers, but sometimes they don't even give two shits about their sellers either. Yeah, that's true.
And it's an unfortunate part of the industry that exists.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's ever going to go away, because you're going to have there's many colours in the rainbow of the types of people that there are. And there's some people that are just transactional about it. And they're looking after themselves, and they're not necessarily looking after the other people that they're dealing with. And we are talking hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars worth of money that people are putting down, and it is expensive to get it wrong.
Oh, it's a massive mistake if you do get it wrong. And the sad reality is, like, I look at all the stats all the time. So it's like part of what I was doing with Abodey was looking at, you know, oh, well, what's the market actually saying? And Finder did this survey in 2021 where it said like 50% of the nation regret buying a home after they've purchased. That was in 2021.
50%?
50%. And I thought, what the hell is the regret about? And it's fear of, like, you know, fear that they've overpaid, you know, bad neighbours and bad neighbourhoods. And they were like the top responses. And when I delved even deeper, it was like 30% of the market overpaid by $30,000 or more on their property purchase.
Right.
And I thought, interesting, that's, demand, driving sales, a whole heap of like factors. COVID was also, you know, skewed data possibly. But like, these are the things that are the reality in the market for a lot of buyers. So you know, today I wanted to unpack with you, like, you've seen it all. You know, you've seen a lot of different markets, a lot of different buyers doing the same things, dodgy agents. I can only imagine, you know, why, like, I guess one of the questions I had for you that I didn't get a chance to ask you earlier is, you know, was it intimidating back then being a woman in such a male-dominated industry, being real estate?
I think that now women in real estate are treated differently than how they were. But having said that, I've even met people who have said that they come and they work with us because it's a male and a female, and the real estate agent is only talking to the male, not talking to the other party, who oftentimes is the one making the decisions.
I was going to say, it's like if it's male, female, usually or even any relationship, right, you can put it down to, there's someone, my Big Fat Greek Wedding said it perfectly. The man is the head, but the woman's the neck, and she turns the head.
She turns the head.
Yeah. And I've always gone, so true.
But there are still agents out there that, for whatever reason, don't get that or don't care about that, and they'll just talk to the perceived, I don't know.
Head of the house.
Head of the house, yes. Yep. And you go, mate, you're talking to the wrong person.
Yeah, it's like you're talking to the person who's probably the one that's looking at all the structural things. You need to talk to the person who's eyeing off the fact that the curtains are purple. That's the one that's going to be the issue.
Curtains talk to purple. Them. Or the walls are black. Yeah, I've had that as well.
No, the walls are black. It's so true. Like I literally going through my grandma's house, like we sold her house this year, right? Because you do both vendors advocacy and buyers advocacy, right?
Yes.
Right. So this is a big factor that I always like to get into when you're looking at the selling side of the house, or like you're purchasing. When I did my grandma's house, oh my God, you would have loved her negotiation tactic for when she bought her downsizer.
Yeah.
So I worded her up. We went to the inspection and I said, now, don't talk directly to the agent. Don't say you love it. Just be really calm. If you like it, tell me, and then I'll talk to the agent. Like, just let me handle it. This is what I was trying to get at. Now, we're talking about an Italian nonna here, right, with a big mouth. And I said, so just shush, just walk in, be friendly, and then talk to me if you like it. My mum was with me as well. So we walk in. there's 6 other buyers there. And my grandma, she's barely looked at the house. We're there for not even 10 minutes. And then she walks straight up to the agent, right? And I'm like, and my mum and I are like looking at each other going, what the hell is she going to do? And she goes, I like it. I want to buy it. How much? And I've gone, are you fucked? Sorry, but like I was so frustrated. I've gone, and I said to her in Italian, I was like, stop. I said, just wait. And I said, you're doing this in front of a room of people. Just give it a moment. And the agent, just by chance, understood Italian.
Of course, did.
And she responded in Italian, and she said, listen to your granddaughter. So my grandma goes, oh, all right. And she goes, but I really like it. Yep, I'm going to buy it. So how much do I have to buy it for? And I'm like, shut up, this woman. Anyway, she ended up buying it because I think it was a power move that I didn't expect. I thought, that would create competition, right? I think what everyone thought is maybe she was a fake buyer. They're like, this woman just invited her grandma. She ended up winning the property no one else offered. And she was the one that got it. And it was just the style of walking in with this big bravado. I like it. How much? I'm like, no, not a tactic I would have gone with. But now in reflection, maybe I should do that more often. Just scare everyone off. Act like the fake buyer.
Well, I reckon they still have fake bidders out there.
Do you reckon? Because it's meant to be illegal.
Would you like me to share the name of the agency that still does it?
If Karina was here, she'd be shouting, yes! So, no, yeah, so fake bidding is still rife. But it's meant to be illegal to do a fake bid. So, interesting.
Yeah, so's underquoting.
Yes, and here we go. That's the topic I wanted.
Underquoting, statements of information, works of fiction.
Works of fiction, yeah. So, okay, here's something we unpacked earlier that I'm going to delve into because I thought it was a really good and important conversation. Statement of information. Now, I want to preface this for those listeners who are going, what is statement of information? I've never heard this before. When you go on realestate.com and you find a listing, there is a document attached to a listing called a statement of information or an SOI, which you might sometimes see it referred to. Now, what this statement of information is doing or trying to do is the government implemented it in Victoria to stop underquoting. So what the real estate agent is required to do is when they list a property for sale, they use their automated valuation tool, which is Price Finder or RP Data Core Logic, any one of those. They then print out this SOI and it has a price that the automated valuation has for the property. And then there's 2 areas where they have to prove that they know or they believe that this is how much the property will sell for. This is why they're listing the property at the price you see it online. Now, when you open that, there's 2 options. The first one is they need to pick 3 addresses that sold within a 2-kilometre radius within the last 6 months of the property address in question for metro suburbs. And I think it's 5 or 6 Ks for regional suburbs, right? So they've got to list those 3 addresses. But what makes me laugh is the amount of them that do not fill that out, but instead they tick the second box, which says, trust me, it's worth this much. And they put their signature on it. And this is where I think we are not doing enough for this underquoting. It's a hot topic at the moment. Everyone's talking about underquoting and people are calling agents out. But that measure
again,
is not
would you
enough.
like a list?
Yeah, yes, I would. We'll publicise it.
One of my clients asked me, because we had this conversation, because the clients still go online, look at property, what do you think about this, what do you think about this? And so part of our role is to show them the ones they actually can afford.
Correct.
And he asked the question, which agents underquote? And in this particular area, I went, and he goes, maybe it'd be quicker if you tell me the ones that don't.
Wow.
I said, yeah, that's a much shorter list.
And this is the thing, because it's a tactic, right?
Absolutely.
And you're seeing it from 2 sides of the coin because you also, like, now we're from buyer's side, right? You're seeing that so clearly, but then you have the extra insight from vendors advocacy.
This is the thing which absolutely opened my eyes when I started doing vendor advocacy. So being a buyer, if you're only a buyer's advocate, you're only seeing half of the picture.
That's right.
Because when you step into the world of the vendor advocacy, number one, you're dollars on legs to the agents because they know that they can make commission from you.
Dollars on legs is the best.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You are. And so when we have the conversations with them around, I've got a client that's looking to sell and they're like, hi, how you doing? That's what you start getting.
Yep. It's true.
It literally is.
Yeah, it is.
But you can, the conversation is different. Also, for the conversation becomes different with the buyer advocacy as well.
Yeah.
Because again, your dollars on legs at some point in time. Now, we can work in a suburb and sell a property for a client and may not go back through that suburb for a couple of years. But the agents are still there and they're knowing that we've got the relationships and we're very much a relationship business. that when the opportunity comes up, if they've been a nice person or they're great at what they do or, all the things.
All the things.
Not a dickhead. Well, then they're going to get a call. The dickhead that, reams us over the coals all on email at 10 o'clock at night about why they're the best agent and they don't get another call back.
Yeah, it's like, and that's it. Thank you for your time.
Well, it's really, and I talk about real estate as being generational because it's very, very short-sighted if for whatever reason. So that scenario was we had a client that was selling and it was a situation, there was a mental health issue with the couple that were selling, they were separating. So the parents had brought us in to manage the sale. So there was only like a very limited 30-minute window to get some agents through to have a look at the property because we couldn't get access to the property. And it turned out that real estate agent wasn't available then.
Right. Okay.
But we had no other opportunity to get through because of the challenges we were having. Boy, did we get reamed about the fact that we didn't bring in the best agent in the area. I thought, mate, well, you weren't available at the time and we can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Reamed for that?
Oh, yes. It was this conversation back all on email, so it's all recorded. And so next time we had something to sell in that suburb, he didn't get a call.
Yeah, of course not. No,
because if you're talking to us like that, how are you talking to the buyers?
And this is the thing, right, like that we, on this show, like I've had some vendors advocates on who are fantastic operators, but there's such a power in it because you're not paying for the vendors advocate like you are, but you're not, it's not an additional commission on top of the agent. Like it's part, like that agent is coming in and charging you, 2% or 2.5, whatever it is. They're sharing that commission with the vendors advocate, and the vendors advocate, like your role is to keep the dodgy agent in check.
Keep the dodgy agent in check, and if there's no sale, we don't get paid. And I will always say to my clients, if you don't want to sell, we're not selling it. And that is the buffer, if you want to call it that, between the real estate agent and us, because the real estate agent, they want to get paid. They will push to get you to sell the house.
Yeah, that's right.
And if for whatever reason your circumstances change or the price is not there and you don't want to sell or you're going to be underwater if you do sell, well then don't sell. And we have that conversation. We have a very open conversation. And the conversation with the real estate agent can be different because they're pushing, and they're trying to push me. Mm-hmm. And I can push back, I can tell you.
Oh, I know that.
And then I will have the real honest conversation with the client and I'll say, this is what's going on. This is what the real estate agent is saying. But going back to being a vendor advocate and the insight we get around that, they tell us what they do, how the water gets around the rock when it comes to underquoting or the pricing or statements of information. So there's a method to the madness to some degree, but what I find fascinating about this industry is the marketing that is done, all paid for by the vendor, advertises the real estate agent.
Yep. Always. I remember when I was I was a real estate agent, right? So I'm ex-real estate agent, went into buyers advocacy later. My boss was huge on self-promotion to the point where she had, it was bad, right? I remember we were embarrassed. She had a massive decal of a giant life-size, and when I say life-size, it was bigger than life-size. It was bigger than everything. It was the whole shop front window, which was like 3-meter high ceilings of her whole body saying, come into our office. And it had the speech bubble next to it. It was so tacky, 2010. And I'm like, no, this isn't it. And she used to teach us and say, your face needs to be on everything, every board, every business card, every listing, everything online, whatever it is, your face, because people need to recognize you every time you do something. And then like you've put it, it's not selling the house, selling your face. And that advertising is 1,000% promoting the agent, but like it promotes the property, but that's the second part. It's not the first priority. It's the second.
That's right. And this is what I say to people, buyers and vendors alike, that in relation to the underquoting, what they do and why they do it and so forth, to some degree, the sale of the property is a byproduct. That's actually not the main game.
Yeah,
it's true. They're playing.
No, it's true. You know what I find interesting is like, so even when my grandma was selling, I went through so many advertising briefs that they'd provide. And some of the charges on there I would find astronomical, but I would also be like flawed because I'm like, I'm not paying for you to print out 1,500 letterbox drops that are all going in the bin.
Yeah.
I'm not. You can door knock. Do that. I'm not paying for 1,500 letterbox drops at $1,500, $1 a drop. I don't think you're going to do 1,500. Because what happens if the house sells in a week? Well, what happened to that $1,500?
Yeah, they don't.
Do you get what I mean?
Things like that.
Things like that, I feel like what a vendor's advocate would help you with is doing that due diligence.
It is the due diligence, and the story I mentioned.
Yeah, earlier. From the previous podcast, which is the same one you're listening to.
We had a client, they gorgeous older couple, downsizing, agents would eat them alive. And so they had a couple of real estate agents circling them for 12 months. And then I got introduced to them via the Sun, because the most beautiful people, and they're the ones that can get really pushed around in this industry. And so I asked them, do you want me to talk to those 2 agents that you've been speaking to already, and I can introduce you to some others? So they said yes, and we ended up talking to 4. Which is a lot.
That was going to say, yeah, it's a lot.
And did the interview process. Now, they didn't even want to be there. This is what I find fascinating about being a vendor advocate is I will conduct the interview, speak to the real estate agents, and 90% of the time the vendors aren't even there.
Wow.
Do not want to even be there.
Oh, my God. So maybe because it's like that emotional involvement, like they don't want to
think that they trust me to do the job.
Duh.
But yeah, they and sometimes they'll sit there, but they don't really ask questions. They often, like I say, I was quite astounded to begin with, but they'll say, Wendy, you just choose.
Wow. See, that's the level of trust that they have in you to make that decision. That's huge.
That's right. And that happened. I was astounded to begin with, but now I'm used to it and go, yeah, okay. And so when they say that, so mostly they don't want to be there. We do a summary afterwards and have a conversation and say, well, X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. What do you want to do? And it's ultimately their decision. I always say it is your decision. They want input and so forth, but it's their decision to make. So with those 4 agents, one of them was letting me know how amazing it was, because her point of difference was that they had a mortgage broker that would come along to the opens that was associated with the real estate agency, and they would suggest to the buyers that they speak to their in-house mortgage broker, and then the real estate agent would liaise with the mortgage broker and be told the budget and the information about that buyer, which is confidential and highly unethical.
Far out. Like said it earlier, the unethical side of this is rife. The skimming off the top, the different professionals, like this is why everyone gets so, like why I say when you're doing your due diligence to select your professionals, don't just go with, this person recommends this person. It's like buyers advocates have your best interests. They usually will recommend a professional because they can get shit done quickly and move quickly.
That's
work with
the
people.
thing. The speed at which we can move within the real estate industry, having put all the things in place to protect your interests and the due diligence that needs to be done, that's what we do.
That's right. And often the buyer's advocate is the one, or vendor's advocate is the one coordinating all the moving parts.
Absolutely,
so
we are.
The fact that you had an agent that said, use my recommended broker, and we get that broker to come to opens, what the is that broker
and
thinking?
She's sitting there going, and it's really good because then we know that we can push them a bit more because we know they've got the more budget. And I'm like, really? Tell me more.
You're like, spill all the secrets.
Tell me how more things you're unethical about.
Yeah, it's like, please unpack it all right here and don't mind my recording device.
So I had a conversation. I mean, a lovely person.
Yeah, of course.
Nice person, I'm sure, but I'm not as ethical as I would have hoped.
Yeah, of course.
But I provide that information all back to my client. And so there was another one that I spoke to as well. So I obviously spoke to all 4. And then afterwards, I've learned in this industry I have to do callbacks to everybody.
Yeah, of course.
They're hard conversations because you're bringing everybody back to say you didn't get the business.
Yeah.
And I will leave voicemails, and sometimes they ring me back and sometimes they don't.
So bad. Like, I feel like the ones, like, it's disappointing because it's kind of also telling you who doesn't want to hear it. It's like, who's got the blinders on? It's like, nope, don't want to hear your stupid feedback. Bye. And it's like, just not going to ignore your call. I'm not going to take your call. But the ones that do answer, are they receptive to when you give them the feedback?
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I say the reasons for it, and some argue with you. This is why now, when we've done the due diligence and had the interview process and made a decision, we will ring the agent that is winning the business and get that all sorted out, get it all signed up and so forth, because we've had the other ones go, well, have you signed yet? I can come back. I can do this, that, this, that.
Right.
And I don't want that because the decision's already been made. And so then when I'm calling them, I'm letting them know, and some ring back, some don't. So we had the situation with one of these people, which was one of the 12 that was circling.
Yeah.
The 2 that were circling for 12 months. They, I'd rung and left a message for him. It went to voicemail. I then started receiving messages from my client to say this agent's ringing me and telling me that we've made the wrong decision to appoint that other agent, that he should be appointed. So I ring my client and I say, well, exactly what has gone on, what's the conversation, and he's told me. I said, okay, fine. So I ring that agent back and he picks up.
Oh my
Goes,
God.
hi, Wendy. How are you? And I went, I'm fine, and you're not to ring my client again.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I said, I know. They've told me you've rung them.
It's so inappropriate.
It's disrespectful. There needs to be a level of professionalism within the industry as well.
But it also, 100%, you're right. But also, like, imagine the buyers didn't have someone like you in their corner. The sellers didn't have someone like you in their corner. That would have been a very hard thing to navigate. And I think this is what a lot of vendors and buyers get wrong, is like when you don't have these professionals in your corner, handling situations like that can just feel so overwhelming, so intimidating. And a lot of the time why people end up not selling or end up not buying, because they're just so put off from the industry shenanigans. They're like, don't worry about it.
And it's industry shenanigans. Because if you look at why do we receive spam? Well, clearly it must work. The spam must work. So in the situation there, so this agent has rung the vendor and going, no, pick me. So that behaviour clearly has worked or been rewarded in the past. So they're doing it again.
Yeah. And I think this is something I was saying earlier, like my boss at the time when I started out in real estate, she used to make us really work for that, sales. So she used to tell us, you need to take a contract of sale and you need to be the last appointment for their interviews. Because like if you don't know, when you're an agent and you get an appraisal, you're generally going in like a job interview. It's like 3 or 4 interviews that these vendors are going to have, and they're going to pick an agent, like exactly what Wendy just described. And this is what I was doing. And my boss had the rule, you have to be the last person in. So I used to have to call and try and suss out when is the, I need to come in the late afternoon. I want to be the last appointment, book me in. And she said, now the job is, if you do get the last appointment, you have to sign them up no matter what. You have to put them on a contract. And she wanted a 90-day exclusivity on those contracts.
It's too long.
If you can't, as an agent, sell the house in 30 days because you're not worth the salt, I'm not giving you a listing for more than 30 days. And I don't think vendors understand, like, do you find this with your clients, like the exclusive period? They're kind of like, oh, what does it matter?
Find that. So I run a really tight ship.
Yeah, nice.
And the real estate agent gets given all of the information they need to include on the sales authority. And I can tell you 90% of the time, and everything gets checked before the client even gets to see it. That's what we're doing, making sure everything is correct.
Yeah.
90% of the time they get it wrong. Things like putting a longer exclusivity period on a no.
Yeah.
If we've made a decision that this is going to auction, you get to auction day. And then you can go into a continuing authority, but the exclusive authority is only until auction day. Because like what you've just said, you've had likely 4 weeks of a campaign to get this thing sold. So
what's going on?
What's going on? What's the problem? Why is it not sold?
Especially when you see, like, it doesn't take long. Like if you look at an average days on market for that suburb, right, and it's, 20 days or 15 days, and they're wanting a 90-day exclusivity, that's a red flag to me. I'm not giving you 90 days. I mean, my boss, like back then the market was very tough, so everything was about exclusivity and keeping the listing because it wasn't selling. And that house did not sell, sat on the market. It's just a shit market. This is 2010 we're talking about. And, not enough buyers, not enough demand, but sellers wanted a certain price. These are all the things that typical agents were taught back then, and these operators who either didn't get out of the industry and stayed in are carrying on these shenanigans, teaching these shenanigans, and then it keeps carrying on.
Teaching the shenanigans,
But they are, right? It's like it's a cycle, because until you can break that cycle, it's like abuse. It's like you have to break the cycle. Like these are people who probably when I started in the industry, I was 18, but fast forward now, they're operators. If they stayed in, they're business owners, and they've been taught the fundamentals from when I was taught fundamentals in 2010. Now, if you don't have the moral compass to sort out how you want to operate as an agent or get out of the industry, or you just want to do something different like vendor advocacy or buyer's advocacy, I feel like you're just teaching people how to continue this selling cycle, and that's why it's continued for as long as it has.
There's the saying that a fish rots from the head down.
Yeah, spot on.
And we had another scenario, and we're sharing lots of vendor advocate
Woes.
scenarios. Because have a think, if you're a buyer listening to this, have a think, this is what's going
The
on
future.
on the selling side, but these are the real estate agents you're walking into a house and meeting.
Yeah, correct. And also, you got to think too, like that, it often gets discounted. People, when you're buying a house, you often aren't already thinking about selling it, right? The future. But this is the stuff, like, not only what are you looking for in a property, resale is a very real thing that you need to think about. But this is also the stuff that you're going to go through when you want to get rid of this house.
It is, and it is but the future. I call it future proofing your purchase. It's a conversation I have with my clients when we're buying a property as to how long you're going to be holding it for, what are your plans, etc. Because if it's something that you're going to only hold for, let's say, 2 to 3 years, that's a different conversation and strategy and way of buying a property than if something it's going to be the family home, let's say, for the next 10, 15 years. You've got to, and the future proofing is, well, you may be happy in the home and it has the potential to subdivide it down the track. That's not what you want to do, but that could possibly be something that your future purchaser would see value in. And is that something that's going to be put into the mix there?
Yeah.
So we had this one scenario where we were doing listing presentations and the real estate agent was fighting with us. The actual vendor was sitting there. That was one of the ones where they were sitting, both the vendors were sitting there. We had the agent sitting across from us. And we're having a conversation and he was full on arguing with us on this point. He was wrong on the point, I will say.
Right.
He would not concede it. And he's arguing over the table. Anyway, continue. We just, settle things down, keep going through. Said, thank you very much. Finished it up, walked him to the door and the vendor sort of shut the door, turned around and said, well, he's a cockhead. He's not getting the business.
Good, right? But I can't believe the audacity. And agents do get shitty.
They get really shitty. And then his director rang us.
I'll get out.
And said, why did we not get the business? We're the best agency in the area. Fish rots from the head down.
Yeah, and that's why he's having a strop in front of vendors. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to win business by throwing a hissy fit and having an argument. It's like, are you trying to flex on your negotiation style?
I don't know, but like you said, the egos. The egos are huge. And if you just go, boop, and the ego goes and it puffs up and goes, well,
Yeah, I see it a lot online, actually. Someone will say something like, I'd say this lightheartedly. I hang a lot of shit on real estate agents because I used to be one. And
I am actually one.
Yeah, you are.
I have to be one to run an advocacy.
Correct, right? So we're all real estate agents when you boil it down. Well, we're qualified, right, to do it. And what I find funny is I hang a lot of shit online, but what I love is when I get the agents that comment and go, well, that's not true. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you do this. Because a lot of my content is about overquoting. It's about the ego, the bravado, the question, the selling tactics and, the pressure tactics that you get when you go to an open or when you, different types of agents you run into. Now, I'm going to caveat that by saying not everyone is the same. There's bad apples and there's good apples. I've had, I make it a point to have on this show only good. People that I would genuinely do business with. Like if I needed to sell my house, there's an agent I would choose. Wendy's one of those people on the list. Like I don't want to put people in front of this podcast that don't align with my values and ethos, which is, the company is looking at and the podcast is genuine, real, honest behaviour in the market. How do we find it? Where's the gold? Because there's so much shit out there. There's so much. And if I had to right every wrong, I think I wouldn't breathe anymore because I'd just be so angry.
Well, I think, and I can, because I've been doing this so long, I'm next year 30 years.
Wow. Yeah, you're going to have to throw a party.
I am going to throw a party.
Yeah, well, I think we need to throw a party. We'll have a podcast party for
Let's
that.
Let's have a podcast party.
Yeah, we'll do like the 30 years of Wendy and her real estate stories. And I feel like we need to have a story for every year.
30 stories.
30
Done.
Stories.
The shenanigans.
Yeah. The shenanigans.
They even continued. I went back to my office and there was more shenanigans. I'm like, oh my God. All right, no, I've got to come back.
I have so many stories on shenanigans, like you have no idea, especially seeing it in the industry, like my colleagues or ex-colleagues. I do some segments on TikTok.
And that's why in my podcast, it's all about the shenanigans. It's all about the shenanigans. And I was thinking about the stories to share last night. I was giggling and laughing to myself. About the funny things. And I was thinking, do I say that one? Which one? One of the ones that I thought of was a real estate agent told me a story that they had a property that was up for sale and it had been staged with styling furniture.
Right.
All right. So it was all staged, looking really, really great. And the vendor decided through the auction campaign that he would rent it on Airbnb.
What?
So he had it listed
So hang on, through the auction campaign listed it on Airbnb.
Yes,
Okay.
on the rental furniture.
That's fantastic. So he's paid for staging.
Yes.
Staged it up, looks pretty, which by the way, guys, like if it's staging, like that's, even if you live in the house and you have staging, you're not meant to sit on it and play with it. Like
No.
the idea is like you leave it alone. It's
Don't
staging.
touch it. Don't dirty it.
it's not yours.
Don't use the towels.
Yeah, it's like don't touch anything you're not using the throw to go to bed with. Like that's not yours. You've paid for it to look good and then you just put it away at the end of the inspection. You can bring out your other furniture if you want, right? If you're going to live in the house at the same time. But this person put it on Airbnb for a rental and the furniture.
And so the agent found out, as did the rental company.
Of course.
And so they took all the furniture out.
Holy shit. So what happened to the Airbnb? Did it get rented?
No, it was for sale.
Oh, yeah, I know it was for sale, but if he put it on Airbnb like that, did anyone?
Well, I think it was getting rented out, on Airbnb.
That's so dumb.
Well, I guess people are trying to make a buck.
I
Aren't
don't blame them, but with the rental furniture?
I don't know. Well, what about if you go? I don't think sometimes we talk about real estate, and the biggest mistake people make in real estate is how emotional they get. And having done this so long, it's not the buyers that get as emotional; it's the sellers.
Interesting.
It's actually the sellers, because the seller is what period of their life are they in? If it's at the end where they're having to sell the family home because someone's passed away or gone into care, and all of those memories, because they know where Johnny was standing when he put his little thing on the wall to see how tall he was, and you see that thing, and there's all these memories in the home. And that's why I think the sellers get really, really emotional. The buying side is different emotion.
Yeah.
They get very, very excited at auction. And I've said auctions are my office. I love auctions, and the auctioneers are quite funny.
No, they are funny.
And I'm the only one on the streets laughing at their jokes.
Someone's got to. But no, they are. They're a pisser. Like I think because everyone there is like a stunned mullet because
they're like this. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
They're like this, and they're looking at their shoes, and they go, just a moment, I'll just consult with my vendor, and they go in, and everyone's like, oh, hey, how you going? And the person walks out and they go, it's done mullet mode again.
It's because Uncle at the barbecue told them not to talk to the agent, not to look too excited. So what ends up happening is they look like they're scared for their life. But mind you, they are about to bet with their life savings. So I don't blame them for being a bit stunned mullety.
They need to understand they're entering the arena of professionals who know how to part you from your money.
Yeah.
It is what they do.
The strategy behind auction, like I was saying this to you earlier, like I don't love auction, right?
I love auction.
I know you do, and I can't get it, right? But I love that you love it, right? Because you have to love it. I've always been, in my professional side, I'm always like, I went to this one auction with a buyer a few years back, Tarnate, and he wanted to make an offer, like he was very dead set on this amount. And I said to him, and understand that these guys have underquoted on purpose online. This will not go for what you want it to go for. And it was they advertised it for it was 580 to 610, right? And then it was going to auction. And I said to him, that's a price guide. It is underquoted. I said, the area is selling at 660. That's the standard. And I said, you're maxed out at 610. He goes, no, I think we've got a good chance. And I said, okay. I said, I'm not going to tell you no, we'll go. And I said, and we'll bid, but your strategy is we're going to have a limit. I said, because this is the emotional side. It's when you get hyped up on the excitement of auction, you just want to start bidding. Even if you got no money, you just want to keep going and win. You got no money, you're just there bidding, and then you win and then you panic, right? It's kind of like if you've ever watched Friends when Joey wins the yacht. It's like he doesn't realise he has to pay for it. You have to pay for the yacht, so he's just betting. He's like, I won the closest bid. And it's like, no, you just tell them how much you trumped everyone. So this is kind of like, the same mentality. I'm like, you've got to be mindful of your limits. So when we go into auction, this guy said, look, my limit's 610. I said, yep, cool. First 2 minutes, done. He was out. And he goes, oh my God, that was so quick. And I said, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is how they get you here.
He's all prepared. He wants to bid more because he wants to actually not waste his time.
That's right. He's like, holy shit. And I'm like, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I said, you've got to be really planned with auction. I said, like, auction is well, what does the market data tell you? Is it going to sell here, or is this, I'm going to get everyone here to waste their time? And that's what pisses me off about auction, because it's like,
it's the wasting of the time thing.
Yeah.
It's someone's time. They've likely paid for paperwork to be checked. They've paid for building and pest inspections, etc. And people don't necessarily put a value on their time, but your time is valuable.
Correct.
You go along, you're all hyped up, it's all the emotions, and you had no
chance
of buying it at all.
Yeah, and the thing is with the agent, they want you to invest all that money and time because they need to get you there to get you excited and emotional and placing that bid and placing more bids. What is more, when you go, like for those of you who've never been to an auction, go to an auction, right? Just before you buy a house, and do not go to an auction of a house.
Don't bid.
Don't bid. Don't be Joey, right? Go there and watch an auction and watch how the agents like float around, how the agents prompt those bidders, the people that put their hand up at the first round, how they push them.
Yeah.
You have to have a thick skin because that's when they are preying on your emotion in that moment. And all you're doing is standing there like a stunned mullet, not talking, and then going, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And the next minute you're like, yep.
Or they're shoving the thing in your face. Like I just ignore them.
Yeah. And they call you out too, right? Like when you've got the auctioneer who's being a comedian, he'll go, sir, madam, like, come on, you've got another 10 grand in you. You've got another 10 grand. You're not going to let that guy do it.
What's 500? It's only 500. You'll be back on realestate.com.au tonight if you don't bid now.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing.
And this is why I always say to clients, go to auction first and tell me if you want to go down that route, because this is where I've had I had a guest on the podcast like very first season. It was a home buyer that I interviewed. He went to 15 auctions before he got one. And I was like, Jesus, that is a lot. And he goes, yeah, we just had, and I said, what was your strategy? And he goes, we didn't have one. We just wanted to just keep going. Like we just really wanted to buy a house.
Strategy is cool.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm like, this is why having a professional in your corner, like that's exhausting. This is why the nation average of 6 to 9 months on market has now become normal, because
that's crazy. You go to 15 auctions and you don't feel that you need some help?
Yeah, that's right. But people don't know that they can actually get help for this. Like there's a lot of advocates out there that take this stress away like yourself. Like this is what you're born to do. And you've got to get someone that's passionate, not someone who's chasing a commission check like a new buyer's agent.
Commission breath.
Yeah, commission breath, right? And that exists in buyer's advocacy too, don't get me wrong. I've met some advocates that have not been on this podcast that are definitely in that category.
I have to.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
our ethics did not align.
Yep, don't align at all. And it's so shocking to me because I find advocacy such a privilege because you're working on one side, right? Very one-sided. Like I'm only focusing on the buyer. So when I see commission breath and like that some people charge ludicrous amounts, I'm like, why are you even doing this? Is it because you did the course that's being advertised online?
That's being I have a concern at the moment with the buyer's agency industry right now. There's like a sausage mill pumping them out and they have no qualification, like boots on the ground qualification.
Well, here's what people don't know, right? So for us to have become buyer's advocates, the requirement for your license is you've got to do your license 1, right? So that's your study period. But then after that, you actually have to do 12 months in the industry as a real estate agent, like a sales agent, a listing agent. Regardless whether you want to go straight into advocacy or not, you got to do your due diligence. So you have to do your time. You got to go get a job at like a Ray White or a Century 21 and do your time for 12 months. Then go for your life. Go do what you want. Now, with this bit of a, like you said, the sausage mill kind of factory process that we have happening right now that I'm seeing everywhere buyer's agents are popping up. Mm-hmm. Number one, the way they're advertised to and the way they're being sold to is all about, do you want to earn 6 figures in 2 months? Be a buyer's agent. And I'm like, that's not the right people we need in the industry. 6 figures in 2 months. What the frig are we charging people here? And I'm like, Jesus, I did it very wrong then. I did it very
They're going
wrong.
after the 9 to 5 employed crowd.
Who are sick of it.
Yeah, you make 7 figures in your first year, da-da-da. And, well, I talk about real estate. I love real estate. I can do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm finding is these people are coming into the industry and now we're going to get that next wave of what was a market that was niche, like less than 1% of our nation in, I think it was 2022, bought with a buyer's advocate. Fast forward to now, that's about 5 to 6%. But these advocates, when they're going through these courses of being sold, do you want to be a 6-figure buyer's agent? They're not doing their time as a real estate agent for that 12 months. So
They don't have the industry experience.
But yeah, no industry experience, but also it actually nullifies them as an agent and they can't get their license. It nullifies their licensing. So you can't obtain a license without doing that time. And that's the scary part of what not that I think that you have to be a real estate agent first.
I never worked in a real estate agency, but I have real estate experience.
Well, it was different back when we did it, right? So when I did my license, even in 2010, I didn't have to work at an agency for any set period of time. Now, though, so we were looking at hiring some consultants and I wanted them to be licensed and one of them didn't have their license and I said, okay, let's go look into it. And we were talking about it and I said, what's the requirement of the licensing these days? I was talking to the BLA and they said they got to work as a real estate agent for 12 months. And I said, get out. And I said, really? And I said, so you can't just walk in and be an advocate? And they go, no. And I said, oh, shit. So now my requirements for finding someone have to be, they got to go have their 1 year. And then if they want to do this kind of job, they can. And that's what concerns me about the industry now is the regulations, the rules. It's all very loose. They're trying to tighten it up. But then we've got these agencies that are coming out, buyers agents, undercutting the rest of us.
And my concern is that it would damage the industry.
That's exactly my concern because now fast forward to now, 5 to 6%, like I was saying, are buying with a buyer's advocate. Now, that's great that people are getting support. Now we're going to have that issue. Like we had such a niche, nice industry in the sense that I believe it should grow with, genuine, passionate people. Not all of the new guys are bad, but you got to do your research because if you get commission breath, like Wendy put it, this is not a good sign. This is not good at all. If they're charging you a premium and they don't have a portfolio, they've never bought property or all of those things, those are red flags to me. You got to know the market. You got to have experienced the market yourself to understand what you're about to put someone through with you.
That's right. I think at a minimum, you have to at least bought a house.
At minimum, one, your own or an investment, just one at minimum to know all the shit they're about to go through because it is taxing. Like, you've bought your own properties, you know this. It's hard even for us to have our emotions in check for our own properties.
It is. I'll tell you a funny story. When I bought our house, the one we're currently living in, I made an offer that got accepted. Then they did the ring around, and you ended up in boardroom. And so it ended up me bidding against one other person, literally sitting across, like you were across the dining room table, and you're bidding against this person.
Holy shit. Yeah.
And that is very intimidating for people. Because if you think it's intimidating for people standing on the street for an auction where nobody's talking to each other, you're sitting like we are, like this. You're bidding, I'm bidding, they confirm your bid, and it's going back and forth, right?
Oh, God.
So that's what had happened. And I'm thinking, mate, just stop bidding because it costs me money because you don't let her interfere and tell people to stop.
Yep.
Anyway, I won the auction, which is great. And then because this is what's funny about it, because I've done this for a very long time, bought investment properties, bought properties for clients, etc. Because it was our own property and our own home, and my husband was on his way. He only walked in the door, and I said, "Oh, we've bought a house."
Love that. Like, oh, by the way, hon,
he's like, "Oh, okay." And then, of course, I get my phone out to pay the deposit. I could not get my. I'm like this. I couldn't work my phone. I had to hand my phone to my husband so that he could actually log in and do, because I've gone buyer brain.
Yep.
And I'm all about the business, but because it was a personal experience of us buying our own home, our forever home, so I can 100% relate to the gaga that happens.
Yeah. When you're buying.
There is so much emotion. And we said about through the COVID years where the market just took off like a banshee. And at the start of that, and I know that because sort of things kicked off from about March, April of 2020.
Yeah.
And all these experts saying how the market was going to drop. And I'm going, no, I don't think it is, because the fundamentals to support the market to grow are still there. And it took off like a jackrabbit. And going back to people being emotional when they're buying real estate, I was working with clients who were looking to buy in Melbourne, and the market was going gangbusters. I went to an auction in the Inner East, and I had $250,000 above the guide price in my pocket. We got slammed.
Really?
It sold for $500,000 over the top of the guide price.
Okay, so did they get fined? Jesus.
Well, no, I don't think they did. And it happened with two different auctions, similar suburbs, totally different. One was like one ready to go that you could just walk in, drop your bags and live in it. The other one was a knockdown job, but they both went $500,000. But the funny one about the one that you could just go walk in, so two bidders just started bidding against each other. And they go like, two blokes. It became a pissing contest. And it's like 20, 30, 40, 50. And I'm just watching these people, right, going nuts. One of them won it. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, oh, my God, can't believe it's 500,000 over. They go in. And then we were still hunting for a property. So 3 weeks later, I spoke to that real estate agent. And I said, oh, that auction was a bit, cray-cray. And he goes, you won't believe it. They walked in and the bidder that won the bid for the auction, he goes, I think I might have overpaid. And the agent goes, oh, yeah, maybe. Sign here.
Jeez, but this is what I'm saying. Like, you don't – I've always done so much prep with buyers on the strategy for auction. I'm like, I understand you want it. We've got to be so crystal clear. It's like, are we going to disrupt the auction pattern? Are we going to be the first bidder, the last bidder, in the middle? Are we going to rise by $5,000, $2,000, 500? Like, are we going to just totally – what is the tactic that we're going to adopt here? Because there is one to happen and to avoid overpaying. And I said, but when you set your limit, you set your limit.
The limit is the limit. And so you've got to have the experience to be able to read the play because it's different house, different auctioneer, different buyers.
Yep.
And they never run the same.
No, it's so hard to pick, right? And this is why having someone like yourself, like, I don't love auctions, like I can do them, but I'm like always in my mind going, well, I know who I'm going to call. And I'm like, yeah, you want an auction? I got the lady for you.
And you've got to be able to read the buyers and see who's what. And we talk about the guide prices and the underquoting. So we bid at auction recently, we won it. There were 4 bidders. Now the starting bidders were at the bottom of the guide price. They did one bid. Now the agents want them there because we don't know what their budget is. All the other other 2 bidders didn't know what their budget were. But then you go, oh, someone's bidding, I'm going to bid against them. But that poor person who thought that they had a shot had no go. But they're the one they want them there to get them started.
That's right. And this is why I find it so frustrating that if those buyers had their due diligence done, like,
yes,
they would have either not arrived or they would have had a different tactic going in. But I reckon they would have avoided it altogether.
They didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Because they were at least 70,000 short on what they needed to buy that particular property. We had pitched it. We do a lot of due diligence in the lead up, looking at things like the Abodey reports and so forth, to really get a good handle on. Doesn't really matter what the agent is saying. We've got to look at what's actually going to happen. Because I say this to clients, there's 2 moving parts. There's what the vendor's going to release their property at. There's where the buyers will take it.
Yeah, true.
So they're the 2 things. So you can go, well, this is where it's likely to be put on the market, but it could end up here. So on that particular one where there was the 4 bidders and someone started it off, I had told our clients it's likely to sell between $1.10 million and $1.20 million, and we bought it for $1.12 million.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
Oh, like that's really good. And that's auction.
That's at auction. And then last week before, with a client, again, we had done the due diligence and said, I think this is going to sell mid-6s, like, 650-ish. Even though I told them that, they weren't prepared to pay that. But let's go along to the auction anyway. That's what they said. Yeah. So we did, because I don't want to have it, sometimes things the properties can fall through the cracks. Yeah. So you want to be there in case something like that
Well, it's like
happens.
You never know if like another bidder just, never rises up.
Yeah, they might have bought the night before or they just don't show up. So we always, want to be in the running. And we arrived there. And I walked in, said hi to the agent. The agent knew me. I was getting out of the car. She's like, hi, Wendy. No hiding, eh? I said, hi, how you going, da-da. And the auction started. And I actually said to my client, I said where the price was going to end up. And I said, that person's going to be the person that buys it. And they went, oh, okay. Bidding starts. And I think there were 7 bidders on that one.
Damn.
We got outbid. I knew that was going to happen. It sold for $652 to the person I said. And my client goes, how did you know? I said, I've been doing this a while.
Well, this is the thing like that, walk us through auction day, right? Because I always try and paint a picture. There's so much going on. So what you've just described and the way you were able to pick that person that was going to be the purchaser, that's not a fluke. That's not a guess. That's not a flick of the wind. That is, there's actual calculation behind that and body language reading and assessing that, like you said, buyers advocates are doing when they arrive at auction.
It's right. It's like I can pick a real estate agent walking down the street. Yeah. Okay, there's a real estate agent, and it's a real estate agent.
It's probably because they're wearing, their signboard and their cologne.
They've got a certain smell about them.
They've got their business card strapped to their head. I'm only joking.
Same with at going to an auction, you can pick the other advocates that are there.
Yeah.
So except there's a science to it. But as I mentioned, all auctions operate differently because you've got a different agency, different property, different buyers there. And the whole thing, don't talk to the agent. You go up and talk to the agent.
Yeah. Don't be scared.
No. That's why when I'm bidding, they'll actually use my name.
Yeah. And that's another way to engage people, right? It's agents, like, that's a tactic, like addressing you by name gets your attention. So you're like, oh shit, why are you saying my name? But this is why someone like having Wendy in your corner, it's like, let them say Wendy's name because Wendy's going to know how to handle this calmly. And going back to buying for ourselves, we get emotional. We can't, it's like, I need an advocate to buy my own stuff because one, I'm also time poor because I'm buying for everyone else. Like, not anymore, but what I'm getting at, it's that there's so much emotion and auction day is a lot.
It is a lot. And I often get told by real estate agents that I intimidate the other buyers. And I'm like,
you're there to represent your buyers.
I'm going, all I do is smile at them. And that auction that we won the other week and with the 4 bidders, and I had someone there and they were filming me, right? Just filming me bidding and so forth. And I was just doing my thing and I'll step forward and I'm there.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling and I'll just smile at you. And we go inside. We won the auction, go inside, and the real estate agent said to me, he goes, they stopped bidding because you intimidated them. And I'm going, huh? Anyway, later on that night, I watched the video and went, oh, now I know what they're seeing.
So you had your bravado out and about.
I saw myself going, okay, yeah. I'm not interfering or anything, but it's like.
Yeah, you're locked in.
I'm locked in.
Yeah, it's
Come on, bid against me.
Yeah. And I think, though, that's your edge in what you're doing with, like, what your buyers are paying you for. Like, it's represent me. And buyers do get intimidated very easily at auction when they see someone who looks like an agent. They're like, oh, no, they've won it. Like, they almost give up and go, don't worry about it. We're packing up. And I'm like, why are you being so crazy? Like, we're just going to have a friendly bidding comp. Like,
yeah, where you going?
Yeah, where you
finished?
I just, every time, like that auction in particular, that one I was talking about earlier, when I saw that it went over by, from 610 and sold at 665, the bidders that got it, their face dropped. Like, it looked sick because I don't think they expected from the price guide where we started. And this is this perception, not even perception of underquoting. Like, I genuinely believe that house probably sold, I would say, maybe 20K more, right, than others in the area. But I knew that ballpark of about mid-sixes was accurate. And I'm like, because of market demand. But when your perception is the advertised price came in at 580 to 610 and it's selling at 665, that's not going to, it's not going to be a good vibe. It's not going to be received well. And that gut drop feeling that I saw on their face, I just felt really bad for them because I'm like, why are you feeling like that? So So
they weren't really happy that they'd won the auction?
No, and it was strange. And I was like, oh, congratulations. They're like, oh, thanks. How come you stopped so early, right? And I think that's what got to them, from the bidding because we stopped at 610. And I said, no, just my buyers had their limit. And I said they just looked at the price guide and they thought they'd win. So we just stopped at the limit because I don't want to make them feel like, yeah, well, you're over. Okay.
Well, I've heard stories where, and I've been at auctions where, competitive bidding like that and they've taken the person. It's why they run over and they escort them in really quickly because until you sit down and sign, you haven't bought the property. Yeah. And people have sat down going, no, I can't do this, stand up and they leave. Yeah. They can't do anything about it. And there was one that I went to. No, they can't. They actually can't make you sit and sign it.
Jesus.
So there was one that I went to where, competitive bidding, etc., and they went in and I spoke to the real estate agent later that day to say about, well, what else have you got? Because we missed out on that one. And they said, oh, well, they've had to ring the underbidder because the person walked in and said they didn't want to sign. And they just walked out and disappeared. And they've run the underbidder who said, no, we got emotionally involved in that. We don't think it's worth that and we're not going to pay that.
Shit. Yeah.
So again, emotion, you really need to be doing your due diligence around where that property is going to be selling. And do you see the value actually being that? Because houses sell for what they sell for, whether or not they would value up, because that's another thing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's like we're running out of time. I'm loving this episode again. I need to address your relaunching your course, your 41 modules, because your years of experience you brought that out. I think you said,
2008.
we're now in 2025. You've totally transformed that course, reimagined it for the market in 2025. And this is a game changer for those buyers. Like honestly, I said this earlier, but like I genuinely believe the fact that you're a buyer's advocate and that you've done this course and releasing it to home buyers speaks volumes about, your passion for the industry, because it could be so easy for you to say, just hire me, I'm Wendy, hire me. But instead you're like, okay, well, if you don't want to, here's a course.
Yes. And I first released it back in 2008 when I had finished in corporate and I was showing women how to get started in real estate, as in how to buy investment properties and so forth. We weren't selling any real estate, but showing them the step-by-step what to do. And so come round now to 2025, I have redone the whole course with a target of showing people how to buy a home. So it is that, because a home is your sense of self. And so that's very important, and I'm very passionate about it. And so the 41 modules cover every single step that you need to know when it comes to buying a piece of real estate, from starting with your budget and setting your seeing your asset position and so forth, all the way through to who's on your team. We've got scripts on how to speak to real estate agents, because people get really nervous getting on the phone. So we've got that, so you can ask the questions that you need to understand. I think we've got 3 or 4 modules on talking to real estate agents. And then it goes through about making offers, how to negotiate, how to be that area expert and look at becoming an expert at whatever suburbs you're looking at, what you need to be looking at, that due diligence, putting offers together, bidding at auction, and all the way through to settlement and the costs people don't tell you about.
Because there's a few of those.
There's a few of those. So we step through all of those things, all these things that you need to know. And 41 modules. I've redone 41 videos. There's transcripts, there's audios, there's workbooks, and not a single piece of AI.
That is super impressive. And I've said this with AI before, your brain, 30 years of experience, can't take away what AI does. AI is efficient and it has its place in the real estate space for sure. I can advocate for that because we use AI, but it can't take away that human interaction and that human experience and intelligence. So the fact that you've actually sat down and written it out from your brain straight into a video, and if this podcast is anything to go by for our listeners today, contact Wendy, have a chat. It's free to have a conversation, and look into the home buyer course. We're going to put everything in the in the show notes today, so you can get in touch. What's the name of your course?
Home Buying Secrets.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And genuinely, I think that needs to be in so many places. Honestly, home buyers that are tuning in today, a lot of them, when they listen in, they are so stressed about buying. They're trying to listen for tips, for guides, for tools. But the reality is that there's no single source of truth. And sometimes, you find the random course guides on every real estate agent's sites, 10 steps how to buy a house. But you don't have something that's actually teaching you fundamentals to the depth that I reckon your platform's going to go into.
It does. And it is those fundamentals, because it's the building blocks that you need to know of. There's many, many moving parts. And that's what I'll say, that there is so many moving parts that you've got to organise and know not only what needs to be done, but the order in which to do them. And that's what we step you through, exactly each step of the things you need to know and those due diligence things to buy a property, because getting it wrong is expensive.
Way too expensive for you to experiment with. And like I always say it like this, you don't hesitate to get a real estate agent in and pay 2% of your house to them. But then you'll hesitate to buy a pair of jeans, or maybe you'll buy a pair of jeans and a t-shirt at $50 and you might hesitate. It's a house. Invest in it. If the first investment you make is a course for some education about what to expect, what to buy and how to buy, it's a small price to pay to buy the right asset in the right location at the right time. Don't risk it and wing it. Okay? We're playing with your money is too valuable. You've worked way too hard for you to just go, I'll just rock up and we'll be right, mate. And it's like,
throw your hand in the air at an auction and buy a property you've done no due diligence on.
Yeah, correct. Because that opens you up to so much. Like, people don't know. We're going to have another episode, Wendy. Otherwise, I'm going to start again. I'm going to start again on the next topic. How about people that don't get Section 32s reviewed?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, that is very common.
We need to unpack. I would love to have you back. Thank you so much for your time today. Is there any, final thoughts for our listeners, like anything that you want them to be left with today, for this episode?
It is that the home is your sense of self. It is that coming home. And I know, because we've rented before, and I know that when you rent, you just have this little voice in the back of your mind, because you can be turfed out and and not have a home. And so for me, it's my heart space to be helping people to find their true north and find their little piece of paradise, which is their home. So that's why I do what I do.
I love that. What a great way to end today's episode. Thank you again, Wendy. So insightful and so passionate. I love it.
Loved it.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you want to get in touch with Wendy, as I always say, it's free to have a chat.
That's right.
And we're going to put all that information in our show notes today so you can reach out and have a conversation and also get information about the course. But thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you, Wendy, for being here once again. And if you're loving the podcast, please rate, review, and share it with a mate who's on their own property buying or investing journey. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on the No BS Real Estate Podcast. That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Abodey AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodey.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodey AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodey.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.